Rebecca, you have been in youth ministry with the same community of young people for over 22 years. But of course, that community is a little different every year, and you wanted to make the point to us that even given the blessing of a sustained ministry, the youth minister has to stay hard in their focus and their intention on remaining relevant and current. What did you mean by the need to stay relevant with the youth ministry?
So becoming and prioritizing it to stay relevant and responsive is making sure that you are current. With generations, there are going to be different needs. Each generation has a different environment in which they're growing and developing. And all those elements influence a youth development. With that, when they come through the youth group or when we have had experiences in our building relationship with the youth, we are trying to make sure that we are connecting with them. And basically, being relevant and responsive is really listening, active listening. It's not just listening to the words they're saying, but listening beyond that. Listening to what they are listening to the environment around them, listening to the culture, what is influencing youth culture, music, movies, artists, who are the ones that they are connected with. And hopefully trying to even use those connections to bring out a positive that can help and nurture a youth development. So in our youth ministry, there are some components like the key verse that has remained constant, the vision has remained constant, but the strategy or what we do or our activities or how we exercise them changes and is modified so that the youth program and the youth activities are something that the youth continue to honor from one generation to the next, from as also it could be from as our population changes from being only one culture represented in the youth group to now being multi-ethnic. And so that takes time. It takes time for a youth leader to not only serve their youth group, but then also to do research and to tap into the resources that are moving and the elements that are moving youth culture and that are basically in the youth environment of that particular generation. So this is sometimes more relevant when, for example, like us that have been in youth ministry for over 18 years, definitely you would see 3 or 4 generations of different needs, different wants. For one example was our worship team. So when the first worship team of youth was into hip hop and a choir, huge. Second generation of youth ministries, they went into more of a worship team and more alternative Christian. Then we had the third generation of worshipers. They were kind of like hip hop and alternative, but we're a worship team. And now we have kind of a worship team that tends to be more on alternative rock. And so the element of worship is still in our youth group and still in our worship service, but the style of music is completely different. So as a youth leader, you have to maintain yourself listening, researching, staying connected to their environment, to their needs, so that way you could still not change the gospel, but modify the delivery of the gospel so that they can still understand the message of grace.